Welcome to our new episode of India's Idea. Today we will be talking to an innovator who has made big and who has converted his idea into a really successful global company. We will be talking to Executive Chairman and founder of Praj Industries, Mr. Pramod Chaudhari. Chaudhari sir, welcome to the show, sir.
Very good afternoon. Abhay, how are you?
I'm good, sir. And thanks for sparing time. I really appreciate, sir.
Pleasure.
So, sir, I was just going through your CV and initially your initial work when you started Praj. So basically, sir, you are an IIT and a mechanical engineer, but then you went into a agri kind of a business in 1984 when you started Praj. And in 1984, it was more of a license Raj kind of a environment in India. And then subsequently there was opening up of market. So what was the difference pre 91 and then post 91 for Praj?
Well, I had to really answer your question in multiple arenas. One is IIT and I work with automobile company. I'm a mechanical engineer,
Right.
so work on a shop floor in automobile company. Then I work for a German company for cutting tools and machine tools. But I always wanted to be on my own. So that was always one can call itch to be on your own. The other thing was that I did not go overseas. Most of my colleagues, that time, those days, in 71 when I passed out, more than 80% classmates, they will go abroad, especially to USA, for doing masters. I always decided to try my luck in this country. The one part was I was brought up in rural India. So I had always some attachment or affection for rural India. And that's where this agri-processing became my first choice to be an entrepreneur in that area. Agri-processing, which I always believe that the agriculture industry is away from the main city and they are running short of good technologies, new ideas, new innovation, and that's where I decided to try my luck with this. 84, it was definitely a tough job. That license Raj, what you said is right. Those days, permission, getting a plot in MIDC, or for that matter, getting other registrations and everything was definitely a challenge. Only thing I was lucky that after develop some processes, I was one of the first one to get venture capital support way back in 87.
Nobody would have heard in India about venture
No,
capital.
it was a totally new subject, totally new concept, and it was thanks to Mr. Narayan Vagul, then the chairman of ICICI Bank. He had brought up a lot of innovative ideas through ICICI, and venture capital was one of the concepts. The rules and regulations were not ready. It was just a conditional loan come part equity. In fact, they drafted the policy while giving the funding to us. There were later on there were 2-3 people, somebody from IT, somebody from BT. But that was the first batch.
And how much was the loan?
Oh, that was a very small, you will laugh at it. It was 45 lakhs total, out of which 40.5 was conditional loan and 4.5 was equity. And that was a royal sum of 45 lakhs. But really it became very helpful. The issue came with the conventional bank. The bank that is for working capital and other things called Bank of Maharashtra was our bankers. And I don't want to name the chairman, but one chairman who was there that time, he did not understand the concept of this venture capital, how to treat it. So this is just a story you asked Larsen Raj. So it was to find out what is the debt equity ratio. So debt equity ratio, this treatment to this 40.5, how to give a treatment.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a conditional loan. So the moment the word loan is there, so it becomes so it becomes part of the debt.
Right.
And because of that ratio being very odd, 1:9 roughly, 4.5, 1:9, 10. So he said, no, this is very risky or very high debt equity ratio. Even if I add my small equity which was there earlier. And Then literally I had to get somebody from ICICI, this venture capital sale, to come and explain to him, sir, this is a conditional loan. So this is not a vanilla loan where he has to repay it. In case the project is not successful, it is treated as equity. So then the new term was coined, and I can take some
Credit for that.
credit or pride for that, that it was called quasi equity.
But
So it is not a straight equity, it is a quasi equity. Then ultimately they agreed to consider it as a part of the equity, and then so these kind of interesting stories were there.
But sir, then, but the ease of doing business, what we can say now, that term is very widely used nowadays. Pre 91 and post 91, because you are dealing with something very, very different, like agri-processing industry and things like that. So, what kind of problems you faced?
No, there were the other problems.
Market in terms of
The
getting
loan was
customer.
one initial period, but banking facility was one thing. India's reputation, image, in 91, liberalization happened, so thanks to liberalization. But then I was very much keen to do international business. And to do international business, that time, you know, before that, we used to get a small allowance of some $10-20 a day kind of a situation.
Yeah.
But after liberalization, they really started, and that was a major change.
So, your liberalization, I mean, your international business actually took
Oh,
off
yes, yes, yeah,
after
absolutely.
1991.
In fact, I was one of the first batch of delegates which went to, along with Indian Merchant Chamber, we went to Southeast Asia and all that, and saw. Uh, and the image and reputation was very tough for Indians. But things at least started moving in that direction, and established a subsidiary in Singapore. Previous to that, it was not so easy,
Okay.
and that's where we got benefited.
And then the big recession of 1998.
Yeah, so no, but before that, there are major things happened. 92, 93, this liberalization, then international business, and that also gave a chance that our venture capitalists said now it's time to exit. So, but I could not afford the value of the company going up. So we didn't have much choice but to have a IPO. So we got listed in 94.
Oh,
And at time, those days, the market was doing pretty good. Harshad Mehta
Mehta,
days,
yeah.
yeah, thanks to his initial period.
Yeah.
And so that was how we got listed in 94. And we didn't want any money, but we had to have the money because of this public issue. Then we decided to diversify.
Okay.
And then I also spent some time I went to Harvard Business School. I said, no, I must learn more professionalism, because entrepreneur is one thing and being a professional is the other thing. So that was another experiment I did with myself, going back to the school and all that. But 97, the real thing started going in a air pocket, I call it. Asian crisis, currency crisis.
Yeah.
That was the
Asian
starting
crisis,
point.
yeah.
That followed a recession in India.
Yeah.
And whatever the diversification I had done, hoping to do a lot of things, it bombed. So what it means that I went with lot of new products and services in the Indian market. And Indian market, after liberalization, there was a pent-up demand, so everything grew very fast. But you know, Indians like they don't change the things so easily.
Right.
So many companies face that surplus production capacity, not much consumption. And that really resulted into a recession. And many of engine companies, we became victim of that recession.
And now, currently, I think after that you had a footprint across maybe 20-25 countries
More than 60 countries.
at that time in 2000.
Yeah, in 2000 also it started.
Yes, 2000 you
Yeah,
started.
and main thing was getting a good response. Like in Colombia, we went 100% market share, particularly all the plants.
But Colombia is not a very safe place to go.
No, that's why those days we were the first Indian. So that time I will say that I was proud of my boys who really worked very hard to go to various places like that, Guatemala, Colombia, Philippines. I mean, number of countries which we went. So one after another, we started putting a flag.
But you
Indian
never
flag.
had security issues with places
Yeah, we
like
had Colombia first time. We
Yes.
had a insurance against kidnapping. So that was a new thing. We never heard of it. Even our insurance company was also not very clear how to do about it and all that. So I had to back-to-back reinsurer and all those things. So a lot of different kind of experience. First time I remember of hiring a full shipload of ship to do the exports.
Okay.
Total charter this
Ship.
thing, ship.
Okay.
That was 6,000 tonner ship kind of a thing. So there were very interesting experiences which we had during the period. And that out of that recession or that setback, it really became a very major turnaround success story.
So now you have a big footprint in South America and Africa. So what you think, so you are more focused on now international business than the business in
No,
India?
currently now it is again, international business is down after 2008. So this journey was going very smoothly in north direction till 2008 when this
The big recession.
subprime crisis came.
Yeah.
And we being in the capital good, we get an impact little late. So till 2009 we had a good tempo of work going on. But then later on it has got a little bit plateau. So international business, we had gone to the level of 55% exports, 45% were domestic. Now it is roughly reversed, that 60% is domestic, 40% is export. But later on, what happened after this initial journey in Africa and South America, then we started concentrating on the developed countries. That was the most enjoyable matter of pride for us. Like the UK's, their first biofuel plant is based on Indian technology. So we always felt very proud of that. And we supplied technology and plant to Germany, Belgium, and USA.
So when you actually diversified from agri-processing to biofuel?
It was 2000. See, agri-processing was mainly making alcohol from molasses,
Yes.
or making beer from barley,
Yeah.
or making some starch products and all those things. So in 2000, uh, there are two reasons. One is this Iraq war. That gave rise to a little bit of oil spike. That was one area where the message was very clear that the oil is becoming a very
Expensive commodity.
expensive commodity. The second one was pollution. The air pollution caused by burning of gasoline, petrol. And there it was established in USA that addition of ethanol can bring down the particulate matter, bring down the CO2 levels, and it is theoretically a carbon neutral
Right.
uh, addition
Right.
of fuel. And that gave a rise to more and more usage of ethanol as a blending in petrol or gasoline. And various countries then started declaring their blending percentages. Uh, and India also tried in 2003 when the NDA government was there. They were very keen to bring this. So they declared 5% blending in 9 states. It ran for 1.5 years, the program. And we saw that those opportunities as a very important opportunity. Even we worked very closely with the Indian government then to work on the plant, work with the depots and all that. In 2004,
The government changed.
government changed, the program got a backseat. But other countries, like Thailand is another example, very systematically they went. Colombia, 100%, as I said,
But why change in government should change in policy when it comes
it
to
was not
environment?
it was not priority that time.
It was not a
The
priority.
priority.
Or whether there were some other reasons for actually shutting down the blending part of it.
No, it was originally it was for 1.5 year. It was for 1.5 year on a trial basis. So that lasted till June. It so happened that the trial period and the election time
Coincided.
coincided.
Okay.
And the new government came, they went with some different priorities. So it got a backseat.
Okay.
They always wanted to bring it later on, 2007, 8, but did not get that kind of a push.
So, sir, you started as a first generation entrepreneur, took the entire Praj to about 1,000 crore plus. What's there in you? What you think it's there different, which has made you such a successful entrepreneur?
The main thing will be, I think, risk taking and innovation. These are the two things. Risk taking in terms of, like I give the example, like going to different places. You asked me, was it not dangerous to go to Colombia?
Right.
So that is one kind of a risk.
Right.
The other kind of risk is development of new products and straightway go and try them at a full-scale level. Take a chance with performances and all those things. I mean, I won't say you the chance is a little too loud, but definitely. Later on in 2008-9 onwards, we set up the R&D and got more methodically. But earlier, from drawing board to directly in the field, could have been perhaps the norm many times. And out of that, out of 10 cases, maybe 7 will become successful, maybe 2 will take some time, and 1 may fail. But unless we give that kind of a push on innovation and taking risk, that is one part of it. The second part is, of course, very important, which everybody is also following these days, is customer service. In case of
Customer is a god.
yeah, customer is God, king, whatever you say. But customization.
Okay.
See, if you see the Western counterparts, in at least in our field, they give only standard services, standard products. They are not flexible. They are very rigid in their approaches. Whereas we as a Praj, we offered different options, and not to lose patience. Okay, you want this, try this way. So making a proposal, configuration. Now there is a tremendous in a plant. I mean, you can imagine. There's a process, there's a configuration, there's a product, different product specification, and in the process give a optimum solution.
Right.
That is definitely was one of the hallmark of our offerings. So our offerings met customers' approval from that point of view, and customers were not used to getting this kind of a service. And an Indian company going outside India with a technology embedded into the hardware, the entire engineering of the plant. So these were not very common things. I mean, what happens in this area, the confidence of the customer to get that kind of a confidence is definitely something much more.
Right.
And then give that kind of a guarantees, delivery commitment, achieving that, and making it suitable to the local conditions. So these are some of the things which definitely helped get us that kind of a market share, customer attention, and repeat business. One of the slogan I used to always jokingly tell my guys, I say, you getting a first contract or first order is no great check. But if you get a second contract from the same customer, repeat order, then I'll give you pat on the back.
Yes.
It will happen only in two situations. One is the customer is satisfied and he has prospered with the first contract.
Right.
In capital good, it's very important. And I think that was one of the things. So almost 1/3 of our customers are repeat customers.
I think that must be the thing, because that's the reason I think Vinod Khosla eventually invested in you. So we'll continue our discussion with Mr. Pramod Chaudhari about his diversification and his interaction with Vinod Khosla, because Vinod Khosla is considered to be one of the real gods in area of promoting innovations and innovation related ecosystem. So we will continue that discussion. Welcome back. We will continue our discussion with Mr. Pramod Chaudhari. Sir, just before the break, I was talking to you about Vinod Khosla and his interaction with you and his investment in your company. So how that actually happened? How you happened to bump into Vinod Khosla?
Frankly, I have not heard of him till then.
Okay.
Then he spoke to me and we talked about biofuels. It so happened that one of his visit to Brazil, I requested him to go to Colombia. He was flying in his own aircraft. So he visited one of my installation in Colombia. And he liked what he saw. And maybe that changed his mind a little bit, that yes, what we are doing a technology, we are converting that into a full-scale plant or something like that. That might have attracted him to look seriously at my request. And then with a couple of discussions, once again we met in Delhi, then through telephone discussions and all that. So ultimately,
you started Praj Matrix.
Yeah, he invested, we gave a private placement,
Hmm.
and then out of that money we got Praj Matrix installed. That's how it was happened in 2008-9.
And now Praj Matrix focus mostly on the basic research part of it.
Yeah, basic research, but mainly again, ultimately basic research to be converted, commercialized into different technologies. And one of the thing was second generation biofuel technology from biomass to ethanol. So that was the first major activity, which is complementary to our ongoing business. So that part we have more or less ran the pilot trials and all that. Now we are ready for a demo. And luckily this is a time when India is also seriously looking at second generation ethanol, with this government taking very serious interest in promoting blending of ethanol.
So, sir, taking back to your IIT days, whether you wanted to be entrepreneur while you were when you at IIT or subsequently over a period of time, you felt that now you should try something of your own.
No, to be an entrepreneur was one of the dream I have been cherishing as a part of my studies in IIT, especially toward the last 2-3 years now. But I also knew that I don't have that kind of capital, I don't have that kind of background, so I had to work initially. There are a lot of middle class family obligation, so because of that it was not possible immediately. But after 10, 12 years, so I decided myself a deadline of say 32, 33 or up to outer limit 35, I must be on my own. If it doesn't happen that time,
It will never happen.
it'll never happen. So that was always this thing. So I had to take a plunge that time, and well, that was. But the idea was, the seed was there for quite some time.
So the period between 20 to 23 when you passed out of IIT to maybe 34, 35 when you actually started Praj, you actually planned your work profile or your job profile accordingly so that you can eventually become a
To some extent, yes. Like we say, okay, that way, yes. Preparation for being on your own. One day I had to be on my own. So what is the starting point? Starting point is handling of people. So my first job was on the shop floor.
Okay.
And I had a worker, I had to handle the production, get the production from the workers. About 70, 80 workers, 5, 10 supervisors and all those things. So that was a very important experience in my life and a very early stage. But that was only on the production side. What was required was
The commercial side.
commercial side. And so my next job was on sales and service, which gave me a very good exposure or insight into commercial side. And I must tell you one incident that my MD was a German fellow, Mr. Rentrup. I was a very successful sales and service guy in the company called Vidya, especially when I was operating from Pune. Pune was growing. Tata, Telco, and many Bajaj Auto, SKF, all these companies were doing pretty good. So I had a very good success. My growth of our cutting tools was pretty high. But he told me I remember that very clearly. He says, Pramod, just because you are successful here in this environment, unless you become successful in the international market and keep that as your aim,
It won't help.
yeah. And that somewhere was one of the reasons which prompted me, after starting Praj at the early stage, within 7 years of starting the company, thought of international business or establishing into international market. So like this kind of inspiration. So I consider him to be one of my mentors. That how he encouraged me to look with the different perspective on the business success.
So when you decided to start Praj, how your actually family or getting into entrepreneurship,
Oh,
leaving
that
your
was
job, how your family actually reacted to?
Well, my wife was quite supportive, but
Well,
my
she doesn't have any option also, right?
no. She was absolutely to leave me. That was not the option. She herself was a journalist, or she is working. My parents were a little apprehensive because they thought I'm doing good in a European company, a foreign company, good job. So why unnecessary I'm taking this kind of a risk? And so that was perhaps sometime an apprehension in their mind, how it will happen, how it will turn out to be.
So, sir, during that time, uh, when you were struggling and struggling really hard initially, uh, whether it struck that no, this is not working for me, and am I wasting my time?
Not in the very early stage. See, that time still, one thing is that the age is on your side, so
Right.
you feel energetic and you give. This kind of pangs or little kind of thoughts, it happened somewhere in 87, 88, when the first, not first, it was the first of its kind of project, which was not becoming successful. And because of the off season of the sugar mill, we were stuck up for cash flows and all those things. So that was the stage where I thought maybe I had to pull down the shutters. And that's where I came in contact with ICICI Venture Capital. So the point I'm trying to say that momentary it happened. But again, next day morning, you again roll back the sleeves and start moving and start finding out what solution is possible. And making those efforts, I think everybody says that if you make effort, the opportunity will smile. Only to grab that opportunity is your skill or your this thing. Secondly, you come across very nice people. I mean, people are nice. People do help you. Help me is not, but at least showing the way out. Help you of that kind. And there are many people in this world outside who are doing that. So these are some of the beliefs. Definitely they come and help you to overcome this kind of situation. So this feeling of doesn't last long. Other thing is, basically I am a robust optimist. I'm strongly, so I'm not experienced that kind of a feeling dwelling for a longer time. So next day morning again
So, sir, when now you have come all the long way from 84 now to 2016. When you look back at this entire stretch of life, what you think were the high points or low points other than what you have actually stated earlier, and what you think is your legacy with this?
see, I don't know, legacy is a too strong a word, but generally you feel that yes, you could done your bit of it, you could have done something more. For example, just take a second generation technology. Now we are approaching the field demonstration and all that. Maybe we should have been successful 3-4 years back. Maybe we overestimated our capability at that point of time, or maybe we did not take certain action. This may be one of the feelings. Or not ready at the time of this diversification. We did not go into nitty-gritty of the diversification. We had a success on our core activity. We thought the same will get extrapolated or projected with the new activity. It doesn't happen automatically. I mean, wishful thinking versus going into nitty-gritty of the thing, going little down on that. So these are some of the things one has to think. So these are some of the ups and downs. Anticipation. I'm pretty good in anticipation, sometimes extra, but I'm sure there could have been some more areas where I could have anticipated or put some mitigation plan well in time. Some opportunities we could have definitely encashed. But this is a part of the game. I mean, you can't be 100%. For example, you come from IT field. Now, IT was very critical. That I always thought that IT is only a tool.
Very true.
Yeah, it is. But the other tool, it has got a huge potential.
Right.
Perhaps I ignored. I didn't realize this digital India kind of a situation which was happening, or now business analytics to everything.
Right.
Automation. I tried to do some work in the area of use of automation to develop online monitoring, remote monitoring, all those things. But then it was too late. No, it was not a great innovation that time. It became part and parcel of our process control system that we offer 24/7 real-time basis monitoring. But okay, but we could have gone a little earlier and done something more, maybe.
So you're on multiple committees and guiding a lot of entrepreneurs. I think you're associated with Department of Biotechnology also. So with this, and there are multiple schemes by Department of Biotechnology to actually promote innovation and to promote startups. Now, Government of India is also giving huge push on Startup India kind of an initiative. So what is still missing in this entire ecosystem?
See, Startup India really is a very noteworthy, creditable movement. I am chairman of a bio incubator of Venture Center here in Pune, and definitely see a lot of young students or entrepreneurs coming with ideas and all that. The point is that initial stages it is possible. That scaling up
Is a
is definitely a big challenge. Scaling up and commercialization. Many of these ideas, because they are mostly technocrat, they come with a technical background, but strategizing for the commercialization, strategizing for different business models. So these are the areas where I feel there's a lot needs to be done, because then left to them is perhaps becomes a little difficult. Even in IIT Bombay, our incubator in IIT Bombay,
Sign.
again they sign, they also am on their board.
Hmm.
I feel that that further handholding and help for commercialization are the major areas which this ecosystem needs some support.
So, sir, whether we can create some kind of a system where a person actually takes an idea to a particular level or a particular stage, and subsequently somebody else runs with that idea and actually ensures that it gets commercialized. But that kind of thing we don't see happening in India.
It will evolve slowly. This is a typical Western model.
Yeah.
And the inventor, the promoter doesn't feel bad of
Right.
passing on some control to somebody else for part of the control to somebody to take it on a commercial scale or taking it to the other places. I think it will start happening and it will definitely become part of the thing. So balance, improvement, development. Development model has to be on the balanced manner.
Right.
So these are some of the issues, and same thing is applicable to the industry or entrepreneurship. Same thing is happening in Make in India also. See, Make in India giving a big plot of land to a very big company with the red carpet is one thing. But how many SMEs getting the benefit of this?
Right. So many industrial houses actually complain that Make in India is good for people who are coming from abroad and investing here, but it's not good for the indigenous industry which is actually working.
But even then, this is the industrial houses. You use the word industrial houses. I'm not talking about houses.
Yes.
Houses may be making a little bit of a noise because, but there are people who can't make noise.
Right.
The amount of capital which is engaged or deployed into small, medium scale industry, and which is, if you unlock that for their growth,
Yes.
they can also grow. So these are some of the things which efforts are going on. People do it in pockets and all that. But I think that's what I call by ecosystem. It has to move in together.
Right. So, sir, it was really nice talking to you. Enjoyed. Thanks for talking.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.